Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Steve Hatherley in the studio. Hi, Steve.
Hello. Thanks for having me back once again.
Yes, great to have you on Takeaway Chinese. And these days we cover various topics. The previous topic was about Xizang, and so is this one. The only thing is the last one was more about going to Xizang, experience especially the industries, 产业, we call it 产业 in Chinese. But this one, I'd like to focus a bit more on the culture side, which is why I'm asking, do you know anything about the Xizang culture specifically? Or what are some icons or some pictures that you would think of? Or what are some people or anything you would think of when you think of Xizang?
The only thing I have are preconceived notions that are not
correct
based on any sort of educated awareness. I would guess like a lot of traditional clothing, because the people who have lived there for a very, very, very long time.
Yes.
I would guess good food, because the recipes would be handed down from generation to generation.
Well, but I think it's the same thing for everybody from everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. But also true for this region. I guess what I'm trying to do is create answers because I really don't know anything.
Let me ask you this. Do you know they have their own language?
Yeah, they speak Tibetan, correct?
Yes. They speak 藏语, 西藏语. So, you know how Chinese words are formed. In Mandarin, we say something, something, 语. It means something language. So, for example, 汉语, originally, 汉语refers to the language of the Han ethnic group, the Han people. And 藏语 or 藏族语言, it refers to Zhang people's language, Tibetan language. And 英语, that's English. 英国人的语言, so England people's language, English people's language.
England people's language,
right. That's how we form these words. So 藏语 would be Tibetan. That is the language that most Xizang people speak.
Would it be very unrecognizable from Mandarin?
At all.
Nothing similar. Nothing shared.
Oh, no, not even a little.
Oh, really?
It's really hard. It was a bit hard for me when I was there because especially when I want to talk to people from a relatively older generation, I would be encountering the situation that they do not speak Mandarin fluently. It's not the situation for the younger generation. For most of the, for example, college students or middle school students, when I talk to them, they can speak pretty good Mandarin. And of course, they're also fluent in Tibetan, in Zangyu. But for the elder generation, definitely they speak Tibetan in their daily lives, and I cannot talk to them. But I did have the help from a lot of community workers. And
like translators?
Yeah, they can help me translate.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it? Because you have, it shouldn't be a weird feeling, but at the same time, I find it to be a weird feeling because you speak multiple languages and you are a translator.
Yes.
On occasion. But then to have, to put on the other hat where suddenly you need the translation, it kind of makes you feel a little bit helpless, doesn't it?
Yes, and especially when I was seeking help from local people, usually almost like, let's say 99.9% of the time, they were very helpful. The only thing is sometimes they do not have the answer I was looking for, and they would ask each other in Tibetan language, which means they're talking to each other. I do not know what they're doing. They give me the answer, and I was like, that's nice, but it'll be nicer if I can understand the process.
Yeah. Well, I've been living like that for about over 20 years now.
Yes.
Oh, do you want to hear a funny off-topic cute little story? We were downtown a couple of weekends ago and heard Korean being spoken by a group of people that we didn't know. They were tourists. But I went over and I said something in Korean and I kind of introduced myself, and the look on their face, their minds were blown. They were like, wait a minute. You could see the processing take place. Like, wait a minute. You're white, but I'm in China and you're speaking Korean. What is going on right now? But that moment of empowerment, like language, learning Chinese or Mandarin or learning English or learning Korean or whatever, it's really empowering. And it makes you feel present and able.
Yes.
When your language study comes into play in your daily life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is why when I was in Xizang, it's a weird feeling for me.
Yeah.
But I also enjoy their language. I think for anyone who is listening to a language that they cannot recognize at all, it's almost like singing or chanting, or it's just you kind of recognize a tiny little bit, because I think it's because of the development and opening up of Xizang. They started to introduce a lot of notions that they didn't used to have, that do not exist in Tibetan language, which means they would have to use Mandarin in Tibetan. It's kind of like introducing an English word to the Chinese language. You use it in the language, blend it seamlessly. And when I recognized that word, I was very excited. And it is really a funny feeling. But besides that part, still, Xizang makes me feel very enchanted. And the language, the culture, the element, especially the Tibetan Buddhism, 藏传佛教, that's what we call it in Mandarin. 藏 is 西藏. 传 is kind of like passing down, because it's passed down from generation to generation. And 佛教 is Buddhism. So Tibetan Buddhism would be 藏传佛教. The elements are everywhere. The decoration, different patterns, and of course the philosophy and everything was everywhere. You can find it on the, for example, style of the architecture, or in different books. A little bit of pattern and decoration would carry a little of the Tibetan Buddhism style, and that would also offer a little even exotic kind of feeling, and you are very much aware of where you are when you're in Xizang.
That's the flip side of the coin, right? So you feel a little bit helpless when you can't speak the language, when you can't understand where one word stops and the next word begins. But you get that feeling of enchantment, that feeling of mystery.
A little bit.
And that's a cool feeling to experience,
It's
too.
a cool feeling.
Yeah. Culture-wise, because geographically speaking, the two regions are not far apart from each other. Culture-wise, you said you didn't feel any similarities in the language. Did you feel any similarities in the culture at all?
Oh, definitely. You know, on one of the most famous and most visited tourist destinations, we call it Barkhor Street in English, but it's Barkhor街.
Barkhor街.
Remember that. You would want to visit that place in the future when you visit Xizang.
Okay.
Barkhor街is one of the most popular tourist destinations. It's in the center of the city. It has the Zhoukang Temple was there. Zhoukang Temple is 大昭寺.
大昭寺.
Yes, so you can now recognize 大昭 and Zhoukang shares not a lot of similarity in the speaking, but it's because the name is translated based on its meaning instead of the pronunciation of it.
Yeah.
So 寺 is temple, that's the same part. 大昭寺 Zhoukang Temple. They are basically together, so you can tell the taxi driver where you're going. If you say you go to 大昭寺, you can arrive at Barkhor Street as well, because it's an commercial area as well as a community. It's almost an ancient town area surrounding Zhoukang Temple. And because it's one of the most popular and most visited commercial streets, you can, standing on the square, you can both feel the strong element of Tibetan Buddhism, of Zangchuan Fojiao, like we talked about, because Zhoukang Temple is right there. It's one of the most revered religious sites in the world, and you can see it, and you can see people believing in Tibetan Buddhism, walking and go visiting that place and go praying even. A lot of people and a lot of monks as well, and at the same time it's a commercial street, so you can find elements that are commonly seen in other commercial streets, like bubble tea shops, like plush toy shops, plush toy franchise, and also, you know, 旅拍.
旅拍.
旅 is 旅行, travel, and 拍 is 拍照. 拍照 means to take a photo.
Okay.
And now one of the most trendy things people do here in China is that you go to a place and you wear what local people wear, or you wear the traditional costume of the people there, and you take pictures on site. So you are seamlessly immersed in that atmosphere, in that environment. So 旅拍 is a thing, and you see countless people wearing Tibetan style costume. I think some are authentic costumes. Some are modern fashionable costumes or fashionable clothes inspired by Tibetan style costume. So different types, but they're taking pictures. They are posing. They're sitting down. And sometimes when they sit down with local people, it's funny because some local people are also wearing their traditional costume, but the everyday type. So the color is not as bright. The decorations like hair pieces are not as extravagant. And all the while, you see visitors, you see tourists dressing up like a princess and taking pictures and sitting next to local people. It's a really fun feeling.
How are the tourists received? I mean, I'm sure they're received quite well, but I'm just curious, like, you know, there's so much history and tradition there that I wondered if they see tourists as kind of like a little annoying. And the reason I ask that question is because we see that now in other parts of the world, right? In Europe, where, you know, over tourism has led to this kind of negative attitude towards the actual tourists themselves.
Well, my feeling is that most people are very welcoming because tourism revenue is very important to Xizang's economy. Since we talked about this previously, being on a high altitude location for Xizang, the ecosystem is quite fragile. It's very vulnerable, meaning that heavy or polluted industries cannot be launched there, which is why for a really long time, tourism has been contributing to the autonomous region's economic development heavily, and people are used to it. They are used to it in like anyone who's living in a tourist destination in other parts of China.
I'm guessing the tourists must be on high alert to behave themselves, like with litter or like trash, or meaning, you know, this isn't downtown Los Angeles. Not that, you know what I mean? It's an area of the world that's special. It's an area of the planet that's special and unique. So I wonder if
I don't know that.
No?
I don't know about that. Well, definitely for us, we would carry our litter to a litter can. But I have to say, on Barkhor streets, because I'm thinking about Barkhor streets, the thing is, if you're in a natural reserve area, you're feeling differently. You are very much aware that you're in the nature.
Yeah.
When you're in the nature, you definitely would behave yourself. But when you're in a commercial street,
it's just normal.
It's just normal. But my point was, it's quite clean on the street. So I don't know if it's people are being very nice or local people are cleaning it quite frequently. So I don't know about that. But definitely, local people do not hate tourists. And at the same time, another fun point that I realized is that they appreciate that people are celebrating their culture as well. And they welcome people, or at least the local government and local communities are welcoming visitors because, first of all, there are still many local people living in the Barkhor Street area. It's not like an entirely commercialized streets where you can only see shops. You see residential communities as well. 还有民居.
民居.
Min is 居民, so residents, and 居 is 居所, or places to live. So 民居 would be residential buildings. So you see residential buildings, you see residential communities still tucked in Barkhor Street. And I was walking in it, and I went to a little alley and saw this little shop selling different types of staple food, all types of noodle, fried noodle, barley noodle stuff, barley steamed bun stuff. I do not know the name of them, and I tried to buy some. I did buy some. The thing is, the shop owner didn't know how to say these things in Mandarin because these are not for tourists.
Sure.
These are breakfast for people living adjacent.
Right.
So, see what I mean? People are still living there, yet many of them are transforming their homes or some rooms in their homes to a B&B.
So you can rent out a space in someone's home.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's cool.
In a yard, you see flowers, you see Tibetan-style decorations, you see zangtan, Xizang-style carpet, which is a very important part in Xizang people's life. We can explain this part a bit later. And you're living inside, and the inside of the room is quite a decent B&B. It's clean, it's nice, but with Xizang style.
Sure.
So that was my proof that local people are welcoming tourists instead of repelling them. And
well, yeah, if you can sleep in their house. I mean, you got to pay them, of course, but still, that's about as welcoming as you can get.
Yes. And the second evidence I got was that, do you know, the QR code is being very, very, very common here in China. You know that.
Yes.
I found a lot of these QR codes on the side of the gate on Barkhor Street.
Why?
If you scan the QR code, for those doors that have QR codes on it, the door would belong to a historical architecture. And you scan it, you would know the history and the stories behind the architecture.
That's very cool.
It's very cool.
Why is carpet so important?
Okay, carpet. Carpet is another thing. I mentioned carpet because we visited a carpet factory in Xizang. It's a real factory, not the kind of workshop. It's where they manufacture, they accept order, and they ship their product out. Yet, it's entirely handmade Tibetan-style carpet. The factory has a history of over 30 years. One Xizang-style carpet has a history of over 1,000 years.
Oh.
Yes. During ancient times, Tibetan people have this idea of being born on a carpet and then living on it for their entire life and passing away on it because it's an essential part of their household appliances. They have this really rough yet durable carpet put as a kind of bedding on their beds, also on the Xizang style couches, which is made of wood. And with a carpet, it can be softer, and they do almost everything on the carpet. It's just traditionally important.
So you're brought into the world on this carpet, and then you exit the world on this carpet.
Yes.
And then the goal would be to keep the same carpet in the family.
And that is previously because the quality of the handmade Tibetan style carpet is very, very good. It can last for almost more than 100 years sometimes. And the reason that Tibetan-style carpet can last that long was because of the material. It's made from a special type of wool of a sheep raised in the northern part of Xizang. The fabric is a bit longer and the texture is very durable.
Yeah, because those sheep would be tough.
Yes,
right?
yes. And at the same time, the carpet is purely handmade. And with handmade, they can adjust the situation of the carpet anytime they want during the making of it. And that gives it a much longer lifespan.
Are they really expensive? They must be.
Yes, the handmade ones are very expensive. But that's the thing. We learned in that carpet factory that now professionals are improving the technique of machine-made carpet, making sure that they can last longer as well. The quality, I don't think the quality is 100% as good as the handmade ones, but they are pretty good already now. And now, because the overall financial situation of Xizang families are getting better and better, guess what? They do not have to use one carpet for their entire lifetime anymore. They would buy different style of carpets, different pattern of carpets on very special occasions. They send Xizang style carpet as gift to people in their milestone days, and it's a part of a very important culture. Yes, it's used and it's treated differently.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? I mean, those people who would hand make those carpets, they would be masters, wouldn't they? And if you just think, probably their parent or their grandmother or grandfather learned that skill, passed it down to them, I would guess. Maybe I'm being too dramatic thinking about this, or maybe they just
I learned a little bit
went
when
to
I was
the
there.
Community college and took a course. I don't know. But, it's just a skill that not too many people in the world have, and I bet they're just like perfect with it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the pattern are now customizable. You can you can send an order to the carpet factory, not the one I visited. They are making the traditional ones, and they have too much order. They cannot take special orders from some people.
Business is booming.
Yes, but some other 藏毯厂家 or the business owner of the Xizang carpets, they are taking orders, and they can design the pattern especially for you based on your needs, and then manufacture the carpet when you want it, the way you want it. So yes, it is a booming industry, and it has a lot to do with my feeling is that the interaction between the Tibetan culture as well as culture outside were requirements outside from people who know the culture a little, who does not understand the culture at all, but appreciate it because of its diversity and its special style. And that also goes to the music industry.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
Yeah, there. I didn't see this group specifically, but I listened to their music on disc a little bit. Apparently, it is quite interesting. The name is called Blackbirds. It's a 7-member band of Tibetan artists who blend traditional sounds with contemporary genres like hip-hop, electronic, and rock. And their music fuses elements of religion, culture, everyday life. I can hear horse galloping sounds in it. I can hear rhythms of village streets. I can hear background sounds in Lhasa, and these are all elements in their music, and listened a little bit of it while I was walking in Lhasa.
And?
It's a very strange feeling. It's like their music is a perfect embodiment of tradition and modern, of Xizang and outside world, of young people being born in the culture for their entire life, yet starting to want to do something different while preserving the element of it.
It's a shame that more people in the world don't get to hear that, right? It reminds me of the Buena Vista Social Club in Cuba, making music. These are master musicians who had been performing in Cuba for a super long time. And then a producer from outside came and visited and decided to make an album. And the next thing they knew, they were traveling the world performing. And this is one example from your trip, but just imagine how many other examples of that there are that we never get to hear and we never get to know about, right? That's a really cool thing. I hope I get to hear that someday. Anyway, we haven't talked about food yet today. What was the breakfast like? The barley noodles or the other things that you tried?
You know what's funny? I didn't try a lot or didn't notice a lot of local food in the hotel.
Well, what were you eating?
I was eating everything. Definitely there were some local like barley bread. I tried barley bread, but it didn't make me feel like I'm trying something very special or very exotic.
Yeah.
And I also tried buttermilk tea. That was very good. We say 酥油茶 or 甜茶. 酥油茶.
酥油茶.
Well, 酥油is basically butter. And 酥油茶, cha is tea, so it's buttermilk tea. And 甜茶 is also buttermilk tea, where the only difference is that 甜 is sweet. So the sweet type of buttermilk tea is called 甜茶, whereas the salty one is 酥油茶.
酥油茶.
It's salty, it's very nice. It would increase the blood sugar in your vein, which is good for you when you're suffering from high altitude sickness.
Okay.
It helps. And I had 酥油茶, 甜茶 during my breakfast, but because I was in a pretty decent hotel in Lhasa, I also get to have omelet for my breakfast. I had some noodle for my breakfast, and I had a cake that is really close to a cheesecake, but has barley as decoration on it.
Oh, okay. As a topping. Oh, okay.
As a topping.
Yeah.
So I think the theme of my entire business trip was actually the diversity I get to experience or get to enjoy in Xizang.
That was unexpected for you.
A little bit, because we talked about this in the previous episode. It's high altitude. The transportation was not supposed to be, in my expectation, was not supposed to be this smooth, and goods and technology and talent would find it a little bit harder to get into Xizang comparing to other low altitude area in China. But that was not true.
Yeah. Do you remember we've talked about this on this show before? We always have our own expectations in our mind about what it will be like, and we always expect it to be worse somehow, some way, or maybe worse is the wrong word, maybe just a little lesser than what it actually turns out to be. And whenever we travel and we see a new place, we always feel like, well, this place is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Right? It would be great if people would have that preconceived notion before they traveled, as opposed to being, mildly surprised once they get there.
And like you said, it's a shame that the music made by people who are trying really hard to include a Tibetan style in it cannot be heard by more people.
Yeah.
And I have the same feeling. It's a shame that people are not visiting Xizang enough, in my opinion. They should do that. They should go enjoy the Xizang traditional culture, see the development of that culture, and see people who are brought up in that culture creating some new cultures and some very trendy and cool art and stuff. And that is my feeling about Xizang. It's a place with the perfect blending of tradition and modern.
Yeah, I think in this part of the world, that blending of the tradition and the modern is true in a lot of places, and it's what makes this part of the world really cool.
Yes. 传统和现代的结合，传统 being tradition and 现代 being modern. And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Steve in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also read our script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.